All right. Shake a. Bop. No one's muted. Marantz is going. We are ready to stream. Got a tweet. Not talking about 1846. Headphones. Live now. Go, go, go. Roop. Okay, I see myself. Got to change you to channel 3. There we go. Still says we're talking about Descending Stories. Thanks, YouTube.
Shake a. Hurry up. There's hockey in 45 minutes.
Yeah. All right, we're good. We're good. It's Monday, December 12th. It's Monday, December 11th. It's Monday, December 11th, 2017. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is the last Monday episode of Geek Nights for 2017.
Good.
And tonight, we're talking about something that in almost 13 years we've somehow never talked about. Talking about headphones. All right, I'm just going to play this back with you because we're doing a new pipeline because of that port.
That was I didn't even see it. No, you moved it. You moved it, huh?
Seems good. Unless you just said, I'm Scott there. Which would
I
be
used
really...
my ventriloquism to make it sound like it came from in front of you.
Well, it would have come from in front of me because you're in the microphone. It would have come out of the same port. You could have done that, and that would have been really unfortunate. Okay, I think we're good.
I don't want anything unfortunate should happen.
I have an opening video that isn't the pipe bomb that hit one guy.
Hey, I thought this ogre was your nightstand. What's it doing over here?
Now it's a coffee table.
It's not a coffee table.
I have an opening bit. I got my opening bit.
I got opening bit.
All right, I'll start with mine. So I kept talking about that NAS, and if you follow me on Twitter or in the forum, I did buy it. I bought the 5-port, like Synology 15, 17 plus whatever.
I'm sure it's fine.
I bought 6 8-terabyte NAS drives, and it is just great. It worked.
You got a spare one just in case?
I got a hot spare because with 5 drives with RAID 5, I only have 1 drive redundancy, and the deal with RAID 5...
You're not super like at corporate or whatever. You don't need 1 drive redundancy is just fine.
Yes, however,
and
the reason I bought the cold
you want to
spare
get the most space for your money here.
is the drive was cheap. It was actually on sale, and 2, I don't want to be in a situation where I don't think about it, and then like 4 years from now the drives die, and I got to buy a drive on Amazon and hope I get same day shipping and all that nonsense. And also because it's a 5-drive array with RAID 5, if 1 drive dies, the chance of a second drive dying actually increases immensely because the rebuild process is actually pretty intensive across all the remaining drives. So I want to start the rebuild immediately, like as quickly as possible, if a drive actually dies.
Well, people used to say you should buy a mix of drives that are the same capacity from different manufacturers.
I used to do that in the old days. I do not do that anymore.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, I think.
Yep. So instead, I figured the plan is just have a cold spare laying around if you do single drive redundancy.
That's definitely good enough for a person in a house. It's beyond good enough for a person in a house.
Yeah, especially because I'm going to put a monthly snapshot of the whole NAS on Glacier. That'll cost me at most like $100 a month if I fill this thing.
The backup of all Geek Nights on S3, not even Glacier, costs like less than $2.
Yeah, because dude, all Geek Nights with the raw like FLAC/WAVE, like a lossless masters is less than half a terabyte.
Yeah, anyway.
So yeah, this NAS is great. I have nothing but good things to say about it.
So I watched Die Hard yesterday because it's the season, right? And,
it's a good Christmas movie.
There's an ongoing argument on the internet. Everybody knows. It's been discussed before. It'll be discussed again, right? That whether it is or is not a Christmas movie. But
and I can see both sides of that debate.
Whatever you want to say... Right, I got to tell you something.
All right.
I'm not gonna say. We're not gonna have the argument, but I want to say, if you haven't seen that movie recently, the movie doesn't just take place during Christmas. There is a fuck ton of Christmas in that movie.
Yeah.
The song during the credits is "Let It Snow."
Yep.
The opening song is "Christmas in Hollis," and Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis
is like, I thought, why don't you play some Christmas music? And our guy was like, this is Christmas music.
No, the fact that it is a Christmas party is actually important for a lot of
reasons. He
reasons.
tapes the gun to his back with Christmas themed tape that he finds.
In a way, he is a Kris Kringle with a machine gun coming through the chimney.
Ho ho ho! I have a machine. Now I have a machine gun. Right? There is Christmas in almost like every shot in the movie. Use that for your argument pleasure.
Now, I would say, however, that Gremlins fits more into the template of a Christmas special than Die Hard does.
Whatever.
I haven't seen Gremlins in more than a decade, however. Possibly 2 decades.
Yeah.
I feel like we should watch Gremlins.
Well, it's all you. All right, let's move on to some news.
So there's a bunch of tech news. We're going to skip over all the Bitcoin stuff because, funnily enough, I looked at Slashdot right here, and the poll right now is, do you own Bitcoin? Yes, no. Say no, because I don't own any. And most people do not own any, but I digress.
Smart.
Don't care about Bitcoin. Not going to talk about it right now. The technology discussion of Bitcoin really only comes down to the power usage thing at this point, and the network itself. All this value of it has nothing to do with technology. That is purely a Thursday show, if we even bothered. So yeah, Scott's news. I guess I'll just introduce it. Another laptop manufacturer is dead to the world.
Right, so we talked about this way back, that Lenovo laptops at one point shipped with some spywares already built into them. And for us, that means basically, even though it was only some models...
That's burn notice.
Right, we can basically never trust a Lenovo laptop ever again. It's like, oh, you do me wrong. It's only one time you got to do me wrong. And now how do I know?
It's like if I bought a gun and it had a malware in it where occasionally the bullet would run circular and hit me instead.
Right, it's like you fucked up one time. It's like, sure, there might be other manufacturers.
It's not just you fucked up one time. You fucked up in an egregious way.
Right, and it's like people are like, well, how do you know you can trust Dell? It's like, I don't know, but I know I can't trust Lenovo.
It's the difference between negligence and what I would term gross negligence.
Right. Oh, it's like it's possible that every major laptop manufacturer is putting evil shit on their computers.
And it was hard. It was actually hard.
The ones that definitely have been caught doing so in the past in favor of the ones who have not been caught yet.
And frankly, it is hard for me to have said never buy a Lenovo again because my current laptop...
They're probably still the best ones.
Yeah, my current laptop is a Lenovo.
Except for the spyware part.
From before the spyware thing happened. It's next to 30. Mm-hmm. It is such a great laptop that I bought it in 2009, and it's still... It's my primary laptop today, and I love it.
Other than the spyware part, they're just fine.
Yeah.
Because anyway,
it's the best normal laptop hardware.
The news is that HP has been caught with a keylogger built into their Synaptic keyboard drive or whatever.
Which is extra funny because apparently this happened in May.
Right, in May, they got caught with a keylogger built into the audio driver. And basically, they've said... crap, those were left in there accidentally. They were in there for debugging purposes, and we were supposed to remove them. We just didn't, which is actually kind of believable, knowing how this industry works and how, the dev people who are in charge of making the software for the laptops probably work. That's probably true. It's a likely, believable story.
Yeah.
But you can't prove it. I can't trust you now. It doesn't matter whether it's true or you put it on there maliciously.
Because frankly, keylogger is one of the most dangerous types of vulnerabilities.
Right.
Because it gets raw credentials, and if you don't have two-factor set up on something, you're effed.
Yep. So
type in a credit card number
do not
anywhere.
Buy any HP computer, and again, I'm sure we've said this enough. Basically, do not buy any pre-built computer that has the software pre-installed. Always get a computer and install the software yourself, unless it is from an ultra trustworthy place. It's hard to do that with a laptop.
In fact, actually, my Lenovo laptop, I paid for a generic Windows license because that was the only way to install generic Windows on it because of the old OEM key nonsense.
Yep.
And I was willing to pay that money, and I'm glad I did. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the problem with laptops is that you can build your own computer. You can't really build your own laptop.
At least you can, but it won't be a good one.
Yeah, well, you can build your own laptop in the same way you can build your own phone. If you want to make something that is objectively inferior to even the most crapo commercial option, then yeah, you can build your own laptop. It's gonna suck. Yeah. Your battery's not gonna last that long.
Actually, I have the Lenovo somewhere in the closet. I haven't used it. iPad has just been king.
Yeah, well, I got
the Pro iPad, though.
I do things on my laptop regularly that require a real operating system.
I do not.
Yeah, I play games. I run Premiere, real Premiere.
I run the Adobe Premiere.
I plug a
Clip.
FireWire mixer into Audition.
I don't do that.
Yeah. But I think right now,
I could run GarageBand on here. Or,
the only laptop
whatever.
I think that I can say is guaranteed to have the least chance of this nonsense. It's kind of like if you want an Android phone and you want it to be pure, you got to buy it from Google. If you want a Windows laptop and you want it to be pure, you got to buy the Surface Books.
Mm-hmm.
Because Emily has one and it's great. Well, she has the Surface Pro. She has the one.
Surface Pro at work is good.
She has the one with the performance base that has a real video card in
There's
it.
also a Dell one that's apparently super expensive, but you can even choose to not have IME on it when you.
Oh, interesting.
It's super expensive, like super tough industrial, meant for business, corporate type, and government stuff.
If my laptop died, I'd either get an iPad Pro or more likely I'd get a Microsoft Surface device of some kind.
Also, the Apple stuff I think is definitely trustworthy because look at how much Apple goes on about protecting your privacy, and they do believe in that, even though they charge you a fortune for it.
And even though our next news.
Right, but you may want to think twice because of our next news.
So there was a bug in OS X.
This is old news already, a couple weeks.
Yeah, we just didn't talk about it because of the schedule.
Yep.
Not going to get into the technical details of it, but the gist of it was there is a root account in your OS X devices that you never know about, you don't use, there's no password on it. Yep. It's not something you're supposed to ever log in with.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to
because it's still Unix, even though it's OS X. But,
yeah,
right.
Like Ubuntu. Like I don't know if it's still that way. Ubuntu.
Yeah, Ubuntu does something slightly different from other Linux distributions, where there is a root account because it's Linux, but they basically put a random password on that root account so that you're never using that account.
Yep.
And instead, your main account is given sudo access. It's
now,
put in the sudo group, and that's how you're supposed to do any root type things.
I think that's the right way to do it.
I think it's not a bad idea. It's great. I do that intentionally to other Linux machines
Yep.
that do not have it set that way.
Generally, a server that's used by more than one person, there is almost no reason any human should ever log in directly as root ever.
Yep, just use the sudoers file.
Yep.
You want to know here's another pro tip for you.
Sudo su.
No. So imagine you're trying to edit a file that is owned by root, and you are using sudo because you're not logged in as root. Normally, most people type in something sudo space vim space, right? And that is mostly just fine. It will work, of course. However, what will happen is you're basically running Vim as root. So Vim has root permissions, and now because it has root permissions, it can edit the file, which is owned by root, and save it and such. However, this also means that Vim or your other text editor of choice, but it should be Vim, is running as root, which means it could do other things with root permission. Maybe you got some Vim plugins, who knows, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what it can do. Your text editor is now running as root. There is a command, sudo edit. People don't know about this command, but you type sudo edit space name of file, and what that will do is launch your regular old text editor, whatever your default text editor is, which is Vim, it should be, and it will give it the sudo root permissions to edit the file, but the text editor itself will run as your user and not as root, and thus will be much more secure. So,
there's a similar thing you can do.
Learn to type sudo edit, all one word, sudo edit space file name instead of sudo space vim space file name, and you will be technically slightly more secure. It'll probably never matter, but hey, why not? It's better.
So I will not get into the details of this because it is way too complex for this show, let alone without showing you an example. But another common example of where people think they need to be root is when they're trying to do things like promiscuous packet capture. And there are ways to set up permissions in your system such that a non-root user can do that sort of thing.
Yes, you need to take the necessary things and give them permissions on a group, and then add your user to that group to give yourself the limited permission to access that part.
But anyway,
full root.
On Apple machines, there's no password in root.
Running High Sierra, the newest OS X.
There's no password on root because you should never log in as it. It doesn't exist as far as most Apple users are concerned.
If you have a brand new OS X machine, you type root and press enter, you can't log in.
And basically, if you type root as the login on any of these Apple devices that was running the latest version of OS X, and you try to log in with root with any password or no password, it'll fail if you click login as expected. But what happens if you click login a second time?
Well, no, that's not the case. It's only in this one specific place in the system preferences menu where you try to unlock a specific screen.
Yep.
And then, because of the way it works, it sort of creates the root account with no password and makes it loginable, whereas previously it wasn't there.
Yep.
Right?
So essentially,
and then once you basically go to the system preferences, right, as a non-root user, type in some stuff, push the button, and now the account is created, and now you can, fully created, and now you can log in as it.
I found
You can't just do it just immediately from the login screen. You can only you have to do this thing, then you can do it from the login screen.
So I can't find the article again, but I found one that actually went into a lot of interesting detail about the background password files and how this kind of bug could have been introduced, because basically it's a logic error in that there's places in the back end to create accounts as a convenience for if an account doesn't exist that should. There's places in the back end to check if an account exists and should be used. And because of the order different things were called, if the account wasn't loginable and didn't have a password, some of the code would say, oh, there's no password. I guess this is a new account. Let's get it all set up.
Yep, it's one of those things that's really interesting and got a lot more press than other vulnerabilities, even though other vulnerabilities are actually much worse. To do this, you need physical access and a normal non-root login to the machine, right? So who has that, right, to your machine? Unless you're in a corporate environment, it's a little more serious, right?
Yep.
But the point is that it's notable and got a lot of press because it's something that literally anyone can do. Anyone can watch a video and do this. No software required, no coding, no compiling.
Now remember, they were able to do
it. No terminals involved, no nothing. You can
able to do it.
Anybody can do it. A child can do it once they see the video.
From a completely logged out machine at any time. And a lot of people run VNC.
Yep.
And there were videos the day it broke, a bunch of people just started randomly VNCing
If you can remote desktop to a Mac and connect, and get to the system preferences screen, you can do this.
Yep. So this was not the first ridiculous vulnerability in High Sierra, and apparently they even the patch they released seems to have at one point undone their previous patch to have fixed this.
Yeah, so while I do believe, as I said before, Apple believes about, in protecting user privacy, right? They're in the interest of selling devices, not selling your data like Google and Facebook and whatnot. Their software quality has been, it's not just fanboys saying this. It's somewhat objective that the software quality of Apple has been decreasing ever so slightly as of late.
Well, I saw a great set of commentators, UX people, talking about how you can definitely see a point in the last several years where the UX of Apple devices has started to diverge more into Windowsy, context menu-y, the kinds of problems. They de-simplified the experience, and they're starting to have inconsistent experiences in a way that they wouldn't have, say, 7 years ago.
In other Apple news, Johnny Ive, the famous #1 designer of Apple.
Oh, yeah.
He is now back, sort of #1 in charge of designing, whereas for a couple years he was taking a little back seat. Now he's back in the driver's seat. So we'll see what comes of that.
Yep. Now, on one hand, if you have physical access to a computer, you can compromise it.
That's correct.
You can protect the data by doing things like whatever the vault is in Microsoft. You can set up a Windows box.
Drives, yeah.
You can encrypt drives to protect data, but you cannot protect the system itself. Someone could just mount volumes. Someone could just replace hard drives.
Physical security, right? Is the computer's locked in a little vault, and there's wires coming out to just a monitor, mouse, and keyboard.
But there is definitely a line that is crossed when the only thing you need is the keyboard and mouse access to a screen that the system provides.
Yep.
So if you have an Apple device and you don't know anything about this,
if you have a Mac,
go update your shit. And generally, just take updates because you don't really have a lot of control over these kinds of bugs.
I think I also saw some people, I guess before there was a fix, they were making a root account and setting a password on it to prevent.
Yep. It's interesting because this is the kind of problem where if this occurred in, say, a Linux device, I feel like it would have been caught a lot sooner. But at the same time, Linux people people who use a Linux device would be more capable of recognizing the Y with the password files and doing what Scott just said, just add a account and add a password and now it's good. No one can log in. You cannot expect someone who has this more streamlined Apple experience to be able to do something like that in a hurry. And if Apple wants to be taken seriously as a Windows alternative, they need to be able to stay ahead of these sorts of things. All right, good enough. Wow, a lot of people watching the stream, but no one's chatting. Usually they're chatty.
They're smart. It's probably just bots. All the real people have left because they're smart.
Or it's Monday. Monday might just be a different crowd from every other day.
Bots.
Or maybe none of them can hear it because they all need to buy headphones. But anyway, things of the day. So I found this pretty fascinating documentary. It's not like the most high production value, but it was published pretty recently. And it's the story of the Atari Jaguar.
I remember it must have been in like middle school, and there was like a day camp or something. And
And did some kids say it's 64-bit?
Yeah, that's like when the Game Pro came, and I was like, man, Atari's making this 64-bit, and they're like, no one believed me. But I had the Game Pro right there, and they're like, holy shit.
I was at a, not summer camp, but like this other thing.
But the thing is, I looked at it, and I immediately knew, like, that's no good.
Yep, well, because I was raised on Nintendo. Sega was
I could just tell looking at the console itself. I didn't even see any games, and I was like, that's no good.
I saw the controller, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Nope. But then, I remember...
despite being a kid, I had no desire... It was like if someone bought me one, I'd been like, okay. But like even as a middle school kid who fucking loved the shit out of video games and would play the same crappy video game all day, I did not want one. Like I had no desire for one whatsoever.
So I knew that as a kid, I knew that the NES was an 8-bit system and that the SNES was a 16-bit system. I did not actually know what that meant when I was a child.
I sort of knew what it meant, but not as much as I know now.
Which is weird because I knew actually in detail how the MMC chips work, the memory mappers that made NES it made real NES games possible.
The point is,
but I didn't know what fucking 8-bit
meant.
meant.
Fuck over 32 and went to 64.
But I remember.
You know what? My desktop computer. You know what? This iPad Pro is a 64-bit computer.
Yeah.
So the Atari Jaguar, also a 64-bit computer, kind of.
Yep. So I remember,
64-bit graphics.
like you, I said something Jaguar is 64-bit because I was talking to all these nerds at the Starbase thing. And one of the nerds who was my age but who knew a lot more about computers, like super nerd guy, he was like, actually, it's not really 64-bit and explained in excruciating detail why it was not actually a quote-unquote 64-bit system. And I didn't know or care. And it was just, that's a memory that I have.
The point is, the graphics on the Jaguar produces, its computing power, are significantly less than that of the PlayStation.
It's, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like how the
PlayStation 1.
The Atari 7800 and the Nintendo Entertainment System are on a surface view actually very comparable in terms of performance capabilities.
If you get an NES Donkey Kong cartridge and an Atari 7800 Donkey Kong cartridge, they're pretty close.
And they could have, and if you take an NES cartridge that does not use memory mappers.
Yeah, if you take a Super Mario 3 or a Kirby's Adventure.
Yeah, with the MMC5 chip.
And compare that to a 7800, it looks like it just kills it, right?
Because all that's in the cartridge. That's not in the console.
Right. The NES console on its own with no cartridge help using the most basic cartridges is at the level of, an
Atari 7800.
Yeah, baseball or Mario 1 at best.
Look at NES games that before the MMC1 chip. That's not that far off from an Atari 7800 system.
Ones that have the classic label on them, like Gyromite.
Yep.
Or
Balloon Fight.
Yeah. Those NES games, that's what the Atari 7800 is equal to.
Yep. But the NES, of course, was actually, as a platform, way more capable. Similar story. This is a 25-minute, pretty fascinating documentary that gets into the entire story of the Atari Jaguar.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty fascinating. Like, there's some details I didn't know. Some of the people involved in the early days, it's terrifying that they were able to sell this as a good idea.
I'm guessing I know about half the story because I read Game Pros so much back then, but I don't know the whole story.
There's a similar one I found about the 3DO, but I wanted to go with this one because this one is...
Ooh, 3DO.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the 3DO story also.
Yeah, but the Atari Jaguar was something that I wanted as a kid in the same way that I wanted an Atari Lynx.
Did not want either one. I got also a documentary. Someone posted this in the forum. I forget who. Good job posting the good thing, right? Good job. Anyway, so what this is something we are very familiar with. I'm not sure if all the listeners are familiar with it, but there was a thing on the internet called Time Cube. Dun, dun, dun.
TimeCube, remember, the internet used to be a much weirder place.
It still is a weird place.
But in that, you'd go to a website that had something weird on it, and that would have been the equivalent of a thing of the day back then.
Yeah, like Zombicon.
Oh my God, look at this website. It has an animation on it, and I don't know what it's for.
So TimeCube was this crazy website that was, notable for its like large, colorful text, that looked like a really poorly made 90s website.
Four-dimensional time is a cube.
Right, from GeoCities. And basically, it was clearly, it's like, did someone really believe this? It was just a crazy website. It had feelings of like an Illuminati type of thing.
Like, I used to think it was a joke because it read like Subgenius type stuff.
Yeah, it read it. Subgenius. Actually, recently the Subgenius people have like revealed themselves.
Yeah,
let everyone know it's a joke
before it turns into Scientology by accident.
Before it turns Scientology by accident. But yeah, it's like if this could have easily been another one of those, like something someone made to be fake, and the fundamental idea you can sort of see why someone would think this completely wrong idea is that there's 4 simultaneous days in one day, right? Which is like obviously not true. But if you think about it, well, it's always midnight somewhere, right? And the Earth, if you think about it, the clock sort of has 4 quadrants because it's a circle.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, so it's like, oh, there's actually 4 days because even though a quarter of a day has passed, if we go from midnight to 6 a.m., somewhere else on Earth has gone from 6 a.m. to noon.
But Scott, those cubes each have 16 quadrants within them.
No, it has 4 4s. Don't say 16. You say 4 4s.
No, because 4 over 16 is cube divinity.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's basically some crazy nonsense idea, right?
It would not have stood out today, but back then it was kind of like it was notable for being crazier than most other things you'd find on the internet.
And actually, I can sort of see how people come to these ideas before I understood physics or knew anything.
Oh, yeah.
I had, you have this very slim understanding of the way things work.
Well, like you see a Bohr's model of an atom, and you're like, hey, that looks a lot like our solar system. I get it.
Right.
Like, no, you don't get it, Rim. You're 6.
Yeah. I thought, like, when I was super young and stupid, I thought, well, wait a minute. Things get more energy, right? The temperature, right? Gets more energy. The molecules move faster, right? If they get hot enough, they approach the speed of light, but they can't go faster than the speed of light. You're not allowed to, right?
Yep.
There's some rule that says you can't, but my brain was like, oh, I know why you can't, because obviously, right, you go faster. If you go faster than the speed of light, you go faster than time, and you go forward in time. That's why it looks like nothing can go faster than the speed of light, because it just disappears when it gets too hot.
That's the kind of logic where I was 100% sure that white holes exist on the other side of black holes.
And if you get too cold, it slows down. If it goes below absolute zero, it goes back. It gets stuck in time, and it goes backwards in time if it gets even negative cold. Right? Less than 0 kelvins, it goes backwards in time. That's why we think nothing can get less than absolute zero. And that's what I thought when I was a kid. And you can see how that makes sense to someone who knows nothing.
Though I've noticed that I feel like
knows a little bit, but knows nothing.
Smart kids today, like the couple generations after millennials, as soon as they think that first thing in these threads of our kid logic, they immediately type it into Google.
Yep. But anyway, so you can see how someone with that kind of know a little bit but don't know enough, but has some sort of logic, but is also mentally disturbed, would believe in TimeCube. And actually, here's a documentary about the old man with mental problems who made TimeCube and believed in it, and one other person who also may have probably also believed in it, and the only 2 people who ever believed in it, actually.
I watched some of this. It is terrifying and fascinating.
It is fascinating, but also a sad story of some mentally disturbed people, but also a story of the internet culture and the nerd culture that surrounds these sort of things. And it's a good story of 90s internet to know about. And now you'll know, if you don't know about TimeCube, you should watch this so that you know what other people are talking about, because very often people like us will say, TimeCube. And just by saying TimeCube, we can say a lot with very few words.
In fact, I remember the specific instant way back. This is earlier, like old Geek Nights. We went to that Open Everything conference, and the guy who gave the closing keynote
the opening keynote.
Whatever speech he gave.
The nut job.
Was dangerously crazy and a dangerous bad person.
Yes.
That dude went on a crusade to remove our Wikipedia page because we talked about him.
I don't even know how he knew that we talked about him, but
Because
okay.
he's one of those people who I think Googles for himself. Like, I'm just never going to mention his name again because I do not want to intersect with crazy again.
Yeah, he's crazy. I wonder if he's
He's-
alive. That's
he-
the kind of person I would not be surprised if they're dead.
He appears to be out there, like, aggressively going after people who have wronged him, so I just don't want to even say. But he starts giving this talk, and everyone in the
Definitely a
audience,
dangerous nut.
we're all sitting here, and we're being super quiet, and everyone's just, like, sitting there, like, not saying anything, because we're a play crowd.
Well, because the talk was supposed to be about something that was actually related to openness.
And it started reasonable.
It started reasonably, but then I'm like, he's not talking anything about openness. And then the slides, the graphic design of the slides looked like
He had a
these-
stroke.
Yes, they looked like slides that a crazy person would make in PowerPoint. The kind of slides that what's his face made, the Secretary of Defense in the early 2000s.
And I wrote time cube ? On the piece of paper I had to take notes on, and I kind of held it up because Scott was sitting behind me and some other people were, and I hear, yep.
Yep.
And then everyone in the room started like, it's time cube. And then the dude left after his speech, and I think Scott and I stood up, we're like, so was that time cube? And everyone's like, that was time cube.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In the meta moment, the book club book, I think I have not 100% decided, but I'm pretty sure.
Why are you so indecisive?
I'm 99% sure I'm going to make our next book club.
Why can't you just be 100% sure?
Fine, 100%.
There we go.
It's this new translation of the
Why was
Odyssey.
that so hard? What was the 1% you were holding out for?
I don't know.
Okay, then that's 100%. Just give up with
The
it.
nature of the last decade of my career is to never authoritatively promise anything ever,
Uh-huh.
because that is always a dangerous gamble.
You can promise a book that is published.
But anyway,
and
there's
available on the Kindle.
this new translation of the Odyssey, and I've actually been meaning for
But wait, the Odyssey is super old, Ram. It's ancient, literally ancient. What could we possibly get from a new translation that would be different from a previous translation?
So the thing
what
that
new thing has the humanity discovered that would somehow get the translation of the Odyssey to be more correct?
So, this translation is done by a woman, which is
Okay.
novel, which already means that it may perhaps have a different perspective.
Has any woman ever translated the Odyssey before?
This article right here says, quote, first woman to translate the Odyssey into English.
Dun dun.
The classicist Emily Wilson has given Homer's epic a radically contemporary voice.
Okay, so is there some perhaps it's not a super direct translation that is literal? There is perhaps, a lot of good writing added of our modern times.
The anecdote that made me extremely interested in this was around a particular line in the beginning of the Odyssey where there is an unresolved debate as to what the word is.
Okay.
Like, what does it mean? How would it have been used in that? Like, what does this sentence mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sing to me of the man, muse. And it's basically, tell me about a something man.
Mm-hmm.
And people have debated apparently forever.
What the something is.
And her translation is something no one has ever put forth before.
Uh-huh.
The word complicated.
Mm.
That intrigued me immensely because I have always had differing opinions as to whether or not.
What were the other things people said it was supposed to say?
I'm not an expert on the Odyssey. They just all.
Well, you made it your book club. You better be
Yeah,
expert.
the last time I read the Odyssey.
I only know about Cyclopses and poking him in the eye.
The last time I read the
and
Odyssey
sirens and not listening to him.
was in my freshman year of
And
high
Poseidon
school,
and not making him angry, but also be him.
and I read it for class. And the translation we read was like the stodgiest translation on earth. And I remember getting shit from my teacher because I argued that Odysseus is kind of a shithead and kind of a jerk, and that he is not necessarily the hero that we're all making him out to be. And my evidence was that when he gets away from the Cyclops, he turns around and starts taunting the dude, and the Cyclops starts throwing rocks and kills some more of his men. And I was told, no, shut up, Odysseus is the hero. And I want my vengeance. Also, I've just been meaning to read the Odyssey again as an adult, and this is a really good excuse
Can
to
I
do
just
so.
read the pop-up book? Do I have to
Oh,
read?
we should do the pop-up book.
Can I just read the pop-up book?
I feel like you might
Skip
miss
over-
out.
skip
I feel like you
the,
might miss out on a complicated story.
Can I just watch the DuckTales episodes? There's
Woo!
a two-parter of DuckTales that matches the Odyssey. Can I watch that?
You could watch one of the many modern movies or read one of the many modern books that is actually just an analogy or allegory to the Odyssey. But yeah, I'm going to make it that. I think this will be interesting.
Okay.
And it'll be a salve to your wounds if you want to get away from people talking about Ready Player One, which will not be our book club book because I'm not willing to read it.
Wasn't it a book club book early on?
We didn't read it.
We definitely discussed it. In
We
Geek Nights.
discussed it at length. I never read it because I know better.
Okay.
You read it. Emily read it. I did not read it.
I'm not reading it.
Nope.
I mean, I'm not.
You're not talking about it.
I'm done with it.
So yeah, and the
Burn it
previous
with
book
kill it
club
with
book
fire.
was the 5th season. I've read the whole trilogy. It's great. You should read it. You should read it all.
I will.
And like it's Evangelion mixed with Ghost in the Shell at the end, and that made me really happy. Otherwise, we got a bunch of conventions coming up. We're gonna be at PAX South doing a panel. We're gonna be at MagFest doing a bunch of panels, and yeah, we got nothing for the rest of the year. And then in January, there's a bunch of stuff. Follow us on YouTube. Okay.
Do I have to do any more, like, fill out any forms for MagFest?
There might be one more. I'm going to follow up on that because I didn't join the Slack, which I
Yeah.
should have.
Make sure, check to make sure I've done all the things.
Yeah, I will because we've got a bunch of panels from the regular panels, so I got to make sure they don't overlap those when they do our Mages panels scheduling. Because the regular panel,
make sure that I have a badge.
Yeah.
And tell me where to go.
that one I threw. Luckily,
I
badges.
never want to get involved with them.
Yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, when we talk about Geek Nights, like our roles, I took on the role of producer, meaning I'm responsible for all that shit, so you don't have to worry about it. So that's literally what a producer does. I have to do stuff like book you at the thing that we're doing,
Good. Take care of it.
tell you to make a panel, and then I decided to make my own panel, which I'm kind of into, that 40 games one. I started writing it. I think it's gonna
At
be
least
real.
you're finally making a new panel.
What? I made a bunch of new panels.
No, they were not new.
That Carcassonne one was new.
Barely.
Anyway,
Shake.
so headphones.
Yeah.
So we got to be very clear here. I guess earbuds have to be included in this conversation,
Okay, so the thing is,
but
right,
speakers do not.
for some reason, even though headphones are something that just about everyone in, who has money, even people who don't have a lot of money, but anyone who lives in a modern society these days has probably multiple pairs of headphones. The thing everyone's got. Yet people are always talking about them, always buying them. They're for sale like everywhere from the bodega to the fanciest stores.
Pretty sure
They're
Scott
all
pointed
over
out
the place.
one of the first threads ever in the original Geek Nights forum was like, "What headphones should I buy?"
Well, yeah, there was like what? It's like a constant thing. Like people are always talking about headphones as if they're. It's almost like they're a disposable thing, even though you buy one and keep them for you hope like for a long time. And it's like this thing.
Oh
that
my God, yeah. To July 2006. This is one of the first threads in the forum.
The big headphones versus earbuds debate.
Yep, and I made the second comment, and then you made the third comment because there
Yeah.
weren't that many people back then.
But anyway, for some reason, my coworkers were like, one of the things like my coworkers talk about is like they keep talking about headphones, like they can't get away from that discussion. And it's like, why? Why is it that headphones, this one thing that should be so boring and has been like a solved problem since like the 70s or 80s, why is it such a constant thing that doesn't go away? There isn't like a final answer.
Now,
Why
you
are
might
there
think-
so many choices.
You might think the debate keeps going because of audiophiles and woo-woo, but I found that is the audiophile woo-woo side of the headphone debate is this whole other world that does not intersect with any of these conversations we've been having.
Nope, not at all.
And it really weirds me out because literally there are only 2 reasons I have ever bought headphones in my life. Reason number 1, I do not currently own headphones.
Yep.
Reason number 2, the headphones I was using for something broke. I own
The only other reason
I own 3 pairs of headphones total.
I have also 3 that
Yep.
I'm currently
2 of them are
I have
hanging right there.
I have 3 active pairs of headphones. I might have some like free Apple ones stuffed in a drawer. Or
Oh yeah,
something.
I got a bunch of like shitto. Like I got
have
some
3
extra.
active pairs of headphones.
Yeah, 2 of mine are hanging right there. The third ones are in this drawer right here because they're earbuds.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start with I have 3 use cases for headphones.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I only wear headphones that are big as opposed to headphones that are actually earbuds that go in my ear when I'm in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I never, ever bring those kinds of headphones anywhere.
Now, see, I would not mind wearing those around, except because I'm just wearing them, it's fine. The problem is you take them off, and then you've got these big-ass, bulky headphones to carry around, and that's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Right? It's like standing on the subway with big headphones on, okay. As soon as I get off the subway and I take them off, fuck.
But also, big headphones do not isolate sound as much as insertion
Well,
earbuds.
we'll talk about that later.
All right, let's just talk about headphones then.
All right. So the second headphone I also have, I have a big headphone at home, right, that goes over my ear, right? And that is it's right? And I have a big one at work. And why do I have two? Because at work, I need one that has noise canceling, and at home, I don't. So at home, I have one with better sound quality.
Yep,
And
because
I
there
don't
is a
wanna-
difference.
They're big, so I don't want to carry them. So I have one at work and one at home. And then I have earbuds, which I use for anywhere else that is not sitting at a desk at work or home.
Yep, so here are my 3 use cases. Earbuds are that. Anytime I'm not at a desk at work or home.
Yep.
At work just provides a headset. I just use that.
Oh.
I don't really listen to music at work.
I
'cause
listen to music a lot at work.
I used to, but most of my job is...
And I like watch YouTube at work.
Yeah.
It's like-
So I'm thinking about bringing a nice set of headphones in to listen to music, like, when I have more idle work, but I'm still new at this job, so I got too much, like, talking work
Can you
to
run
do.
Spotify on a Bloomberg terminal?
I can do it. Well, my Bloomberg terminal is just like a regular computer.
Oh, okay.
I can just run the software on it.
Okay.
I have root. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about that. But because I got actually Amazon Music. Like I do listen to music sometimes on the work headphones. They're just not great. So use case number 2 is headset. It's not just that I want headphones,
with a microphone on.
but I want a microphone on it because there's a lot of use cases where I need to be able to listen to something and talk, usually in the context of gaming. I don't particularly care about the quality of the talking. It just has to be good enough.
Right.
And I want it to be USB, dumb as shit, just works with any game and any Skype and anything. And I really only use it for that purpose. Like it's my like normal using a computer, and I don't care that much about the quality.
Yeah. The thing is, if you don't care about the quality, that's fine. But the problem is, even if you don't care about the quality, I've done a lot of research on this.
Oh yeah, I care about when I say I don't care about the quality, I mean above a certain line that very few things reach.
The research I've done on this is that even if you don't care about getting, low quality audio and low quality microphone, if you buy a gaming headset,
they're 99% garbage.
the price of them is always ridiculous compared to what you get. Even the expensive ones, like they're good, but for what you pay for them, you could instead get amazing headphones that are just headphones and a microphone and have money left over. Gaming headsets pretty much are just a ripoff. It's like, sure, you're not going to be able to get a combined microphone and headphone in one unit, but are you really going to pay $100 or $200 extra just to combine the two things? You can go what a lot of people have been doing is go on Amazon, buy some great headphones.
Like these. This headphone, this Sony one, is actually the one a lot of people do
There are
this
a lot
to.
of great headphones you can buy of varying qualities and differences. But
get ones that have a quarter-inch, like regular old jack on the end.
But like, for like less than $100 or maybe even less than 200, right? That are great for music, great for everything. And then get like a $10 clip-on microphone to clip to the wire of the headphone because the microphone that's on a gaming headset is a crappy $10 microphone anyway.
Yep.
So you just clip that bad boy on there, and now you get 2 wires going to your computer, one for microphone, one for headphone. And now you just saved a ton of money over the gaming headset and also improved on the quality a whole bunch.
Now, I think most people, regardless of a gaming headset or not, USB headset that has a microphone and speakers is probably the best UX for almost anyone using computers. Because the thing is, if they need a way to listen to sound, they may listen to music, but they're not going to like freak out about the quality of the music. And like the microphone built in, most people do not have a mixer with a microphone boom.
Well, what they do sell these days, actually, and a lot of people are actually way into these because, even if you're not an audiophile, like the amps on like a sound card built into whatever your computer or laptop is.
Oh, yeah.
Probably, right, crapo, right? It's a USB stick that's tiny, that's basically just an amp, a USB port, and one or at least one headphone hole and maybe a microphone hole or not. And you basically just turn your regular headphone and microphone or just headphone into a USB one without needing some giant block of technology that comes with a gaming headset.
Yep.
And a lot of those actually make, sound really terrific compared to, it's not audiophile nonsense. It's just like, an actual amp to drive real headphones that a sound card built into a motherboard does not have.
Yep. Now I get away from that. I'll skip my third use case, but for that use, like for now, but the summary for the third use case of my quality, like headphones for the purposes of listening to music or mastering audio or editing video, I have just like studio monitor headphones that I plug directly into a mixer. And I would not even
Most
bother.
people don't have to do that.
Yes, if you do not have that use case,
If you're not editing audio.
yes, or you're not the kind or listening to music is a specific hobby.
Like you're not doing anything else. You're just laying there listening to music.
In which case, you probably have some sort of modern hi-fi system, and you sit down in your chair, close your eyes, put your headphones on, and listen to music for an hour. But so I use this because I have a professional need to, and I have a mixer that has all the right amps and drives and everything to where the computer has nothing to do with the quality. But since that use case is weird, the headset, if you're gonna buy a headset, the cheap gaming ones are pretty much just as good as the expensive gaming ones. Might as well buy the cheap ones. I did some research though, and I tried, because I bought that rig that Scott also bought, and it was
the rig still, I mean, it kept working. It didn't break.
Mine broke.
Well, it had a bunch of good features, which is why I bought it.
Yeah, so here's the deal. That thing was expensive.
It wasn't that expensive, but it was definitely overpriced for what it was.
It was expensive compared to this gaming headset.
It was also really comfortable.
It was really comfortable, and I tried it at a PAX, so
That's
I
why
knew it was
comfortable because same.
It had a feature where you could plug it into your computer as two different sound cards.
Also, the main feature I bought it for is that you plugged your phone into it, and now what you could do is you could hear your phone while you're gaming, and your phone could interrupt your game, which was actually a problem I had that it solved. I'm playing a game with headphones on, and the phone rings, or I get a text and I don't know.
But it was three-way. It had a three-way mixer.
You could play music on the phone and listen to that music, right?
But that three-way mixer, it had this puck, so I could be on a Discord server and doing voice comms there and mixing that with the regular game audio.
It had a bunch of cool features in this little volume puck. It was really great.
It wasn't durable at all. It fell apart.
Yeah, the ear cup was all a nice squishy cushion, which is why it's so comfortable. It just exploded and went poof.
Yep, mine, the ear just snapped.
I couldn't get a replacement, and when I went for warranty service, they were like, "Oh, you got to basically pay $1 zillion for a new one." And I was like, "Screw you."
Yep, mine just snapped in two one day. I literally put it on my head, and it just popped.
So instead, now what I have on my computer at home is I have $10 Amazon speakers.
Yeah.
And I have a AKG headphone that I really only use when streaming, because otherwise I use the $10 Amazon speakers.
Yep. So when I'm streaming, I either use the mixer with either the microphone boom or the Countryman, and I just either don't listen to the sound at all,
I use the microphone that's attached to the webcam, or the microphone that I put on top of my camera.
Oh, I could use this webcam actually has a pretty good microphone.
Yeah, webcam microphone, just fine.
They used to not be good, but now they're pretty good.
The problem is if your camera and microphone are not combined into one unit, they may be out of sync when you stream, if you're streaming, but otherwise, what do you care?
So I went out on a limb, though, and when I threw away my rig, because it was kind of a piece of garbage, and also its microphone quality was worse than cheap gaming headsets.
Oh, way bad.
So Sennheiser makes pretty good general audio stuff.
Sennheiser headphones are very excellent.
Sennheiser makes a gaming headset that was actually pretty cheap. So I bought it as what? This was the literal last time I would try buying a quote-unquote gaming headset. It actually works great.
It's fine.
And the microphone is 10 times better than the rig.
Sure.
It's not better than a real microphone, but it's way better than any gaming headset I've ever tried. So I use it and it's fine.
Yeah, and if you're just gaming and you're not streaming your face with a camera, you don't care if there's a slight out of syncness with your microphone. You can have a separate microphone from the video that's on your face.
Oh, we got a mod mic user in the chat too.
Right, it'll be totally. Anyway, so let's talk. Here's the main decisions you have to make when buying headphones.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Let's get into the actual.
All right, so the first thing you got to decide is if you're gonna do some sort of noise canceling or blocking or not. Right.
And there's multiple.
Right, and it's well, why would you not do noise canceling? And the fact is, if you don't have any kind of noise canceling or blocking, you're going to get better audio quality. The best sounding headphones are what's known as open headphones, the kinds that go over your ear in a big cup, but people standing next to you can actually kind of hear what you're listening to because the headphones are open.
And you'll hear sound. So if I'm wearing my gaming headset playing Overwatch, it's open acoustics. If Emily yells something from the other room or the doorbell rings, I'll hear it, which is, I wanted that in my gaming headset.
Yeah.
I want to be able to hear the real world.
But other people can hear the music you're listening to. But that's how you get the best audio quality. That's the way acoustics work. If you're in a studio, right, you're using headphones, people can, if the volume's loud enough, people sitting next to you can sort of hear what you're listening to.
Yep.
But you're in a quiet studio room. It doesn't really matter, if there's no noises coming from out interrupting you.
So closed acoustics physically block the sound to a reasonable degree. Now, it depends. There's other factors, but they will block more sound.
Yes, but they won't the quality of the sound won't be as good in whatever you're listening to. Now, in terms of actual attempts to block outside sounds, there are two technologies. There is active noise canceling and isolation. So what active noise canceling is there's actually, you need power for the headphones, a battery or some other source of power, USB, something. And inside the headphones will be a microphone that you don't know about. And that microphone will listen to the noises of the outside world, and then it will see the sound waves, because it's a microphone, that's what it does, it sees sound waves, and it will generate exact opposite sound waves to create a canceling. Like a wave in the ocean, I just make the opposite wave, and now the ocean is flat. So basically, this isn't block all noise. If somebody says yell at you suddenly, that's not sort of a constant wave. It can't like predict that and make an opposite wave against someone talking. But if there's a constant noise, an air conditioner, the engine in your car, a lot of cars use this technology, the sound of the tires against the road in your car, some sort of humming in the room, any sort of constant noise, the sound of the noise outside in the street in New York, right? The wind, right? This will detect that noise, make an opposite noise, and cancel it, so you don't hear that. You only hear what you're listening to, and that's active noise canceling.
Now, it's clever because it means that if a siren happens or someone yells at you, you'll probably hear it.
Well, you can hear it maybe. A lot of times what will happen is you'll hear the beginning of the siren, and then it'll slowly fade a little bit as it picks up on what's going on.
Now, of course, the problem with these is, one, power, and two, they're not 100%.
Well, the power, it's like, so I have these Bose ones at work. Everyone has them. And it takes one AAA battery, and I have to change it like once a week. And I'm listening a lot at work, like 8 hours a day, right? So if you're not doing 8 hours a day at work, you're going to change that battery even less than once a week. Pretty good. One end loop, right? So that's not a big problem. Just bring one AAA battery with you on your trip, spare one, you'll be good to go.
But also, they're not that consistent. Like, it really depends on the quality of the algorithms and the hardware in the headphones themselves.
You can't stand next to the subway and you'll still have to turn the volume up to be able to hear what you're listening to. It's not super amazing, and also it muddies the actual music you're listening to a little bit.
Yep.
Right? It's not huge. It doesn't sound bad. It's just, it is noticeable.
This is why I prefer isolation, because it physically blocks the outside sound so you can't hear it.
So what isolation is usually earbuds have isolation, right? Do not get earbuds that are not isolating if you care about your hearing and you're in a loud place. Because the way this works is you stick the earbuds in your ear, and the earbuds are also earplugs. That's it. There's no technology. It's literally just boop, you plug up your ear. So now all you can hear is what the headphones are doing. You can't hear the outside world because you got fucking earplugs in your ear.
Now, I found that it seems like, I think these are the superior solution, but I found that there are, I'd say like 20 or 30% of people just get freaked out by having something so deep in their ear and just can't wear them.
Well, it's not, an ear doctor would basically tell you never stick anything in your ear.
I think an ear doctor would tell you to use these over loud earbuds, like regular ones.
Here's the thing, right? If you go around using, say, the Apple default earbuds, which suck, by the way, not the wireless ones.
And then you go
the wireless ones suck too, but it's not the wireless part.
And then you go somewhere loud, like a subway.
Right, you go somewhere loud, like a subway, or a bus drives by you on the road. You're in a city. What's going to happen is you're not going to be able to hear what the audio coming from your headphones. So your natural reaction is to turn up the volume. But the fact is, your hearing damage, right, is determined by decibels over time. So you're still hearing the bus, and you're hearing the music you've made louder, and it doesn't feel loud. It doesn't feel like it's hurting, but the amount of decibels you're putting into your ear over time is damaging your hearing. If you get isolation earbuds, as soon as I got them way back in the day, like mid-2000s.
It was like night and day. We got those Etymotics.
I went from putting my volume on my iPod, that's how long ago this was, at like 75%. Now, anything above 25% is too loud, it hurts.
In fact, isolation earbuds, I got some Shure ones now, because as much as the Etymotics are higher quality, they're not that durable, and I've had several break on me, and they kept warranty replacing them.
They did keep, so here's the thing, my Etymotics, they kept replacing them for free with a warranty, and they weren't very durable, which upset me. You know what happened? The stupid Apple thing with the adapter to go in the lightning hole, because my iPhone doesn't have a headphone hole anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to that little adapter, that little tiny wire, the Etymotic jack doesn't go directly into my phone anymore. It goes into a little wobbly white wire that then goes into a lightning hole. Since then, the jack has not become damaged because it's not straining against this phone. And the current pair of Etymotics that I have lasted super long.
Good to hear.
Super long.
But
so
I bought some
if you have Etymotics, and even if you have a phone that doesn't need a stupid lightning adapter, just get a tiny headphone extension cable, and that will probably protect the jack on it from breaking.
Now, it's not really a drawback. It's just something you need to be aware of.
Ideally, you get headphones with a replaceable cable, and now they last forever. Because
my Sures are like that. I can replace every piece of them.
Yeah, the cable is the part that's gonna break.
The Sures also have a little loop that goes over the top of my ear that like holds them in better. But
no, whatever.
But it doesn't. They're all use what's comfortable from a good brand.
Yeah.
But what you're probably going to want to buy if you get those kinds of isolation earbuds is a little pass-through device that has speaker jacks on both ends and a little separate volume control. Because if you plug Etymotics or Shure isolation earbuds into like an airplane's jack to watch a movie, the lowest volume setting is painful and loud.
Yep.
Which, think about how much hearing damage you were getting if you were using regular headphones.
Yep.
So you're going to want to get these. They're so cheap. And I use these whenever I fly to be able to use my nice insertion earbuds on the plane and not hear the plane noise.
All right, so we talked about noise canceling. We talked about open versus closed, right? The other main thing you got to decide these days in the year 2017 is wired versus wireless.
I am not a fan of wireless headphones. I never have been.
Why not?
Because, one, when I listen to music or something, I'm always next to the device that is generating the sound. I don't have a use case of watch a movie on the TV with headphones on.
No, definitely. I don't have that use case.
Some people do. That's the thing, but I don't.
Especially, that's good if you have like a family in a house and you want to watch a movie but not wake up people who are maybe upstairs.
The only devices my headphones...
You want to watch on the TV and not on your tablet?
My headset is plugged directly into the only computer I'll ever use it on. My nice studio monitor headphones are plugged directly into a real audio device. So I have no reason to need a wireless. Wireless is extra complication for no benefit for me.
So the reason, so here's the thing is I don't have any wireless headphones anymore, right? I did have some Bluetooth ones at work for a while. My previous work ones were Bluetooth. And they were actually some weirdo brand no one ever heard of on Amazon. Like there was like August or something, right? But I got a Bluetooth adapter for the work laptop, and it totally worked and sounded great. It was actually crazy comfortable. The thing is Bluetooth is just kind of flaky. And even with an iPhone, I mean, some people probably might not have that experience, but my experience, any Bluetooth using any combination of devices is always flaky. There's pairing and unpairing and repairing, and it doesn't just always just work, and that's annoying, all right? And there was also used to be issues where like as the Bluetooth profiles changed over time, like the audio quality, like you need compression because Bluetooth didn't have enough bandwidth. And then there wasn't stereo, and then there was stereo, and now it's even better. They added a different profile. But the quality is not compared to wire, the quality isn't there, and there's a hassle to it.
And for my phone, like the other use case I didn't mention, I always have my phone in my pocket within cable distance of my ears.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with the cabling versus distance. That's never been an issue for me. It's just that even if I'm just sitting at my desk, even if I'm just standing on the subway with my phone, right, wires are still annoying. It would be nice for the wires to not be there. It's like my headphone wire is in the way of my mouse wire, and occasionally I can swat it away or route it around something. Or, I would rather the wire not be there.
Yep.
But of course, this means I got to bring in the other hassles like dealing with Bluetooth or recharging the headphones. It's going to be way more recharging than for the noise canceling. You're going to be charging that shit every day if you got wireless headphones, right? However, there is a new revolution in the wireless headphone, and that is the new Apple stuff. It's called whatever they call it, right? Apple has a non-Bluetooth protocol for connecting headphones to Apple devices that just works, doesn't have any of the hassle, and the quality's way better. But in order to use this, I'd have to buy brand new headphones that use Apple stuff, which are probably going to be Beats headphones because Apple owns Beats now. And so I haven't bought those.
So the other two questions are, if you need a microphone, does it need to be high quality? And the answer is very simple. If you don't care, any old headset will do. If the microphone has to be high quality, you're buying a separate microphone however you do it.
So here's the thing is that I've noticed there's a lot of microphones on gaming headsets and stuff like that in my experience. I've actually not been low quality. they just been really fucking quiet.
That's partly because they're low quality. So the
Right.
only way to
So
raise
it's like
the volume
even
is
if you
to
turn
up
up
the
the
gain.
volume on the recording volume all the way, turn the levels up all the way.
Yeah, bring that noise floor all the way up.
Nobody can hear you. You use the decibel boost in your sound card settings. People still can't hear you when you're talking on your Counter-Strike chat.
That's just because those are shitty microphones.
right. Really, people don't need the greatest audio quality. If you're not recording a radio show like Geek Nights, the quality doesn't matter. As long as people can hear what you're saying, you're just telling them, go left, or they set up us the bomb, right? What do you need to say? You just need to say what's going on.
Yep.
But you need people to hear you. It needs to be loud enough. So that's the thing you're going to be looking for for most people who are not singing or performing or making
I'll put it this way. If you want really good quality,
you just need volume so people can hear you.
you listen to our old episode on microphones and buy the best microphone. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Mod mics are pretty good if you want to, like, stick a microphone on some good headphones.
There's tons of microphones out there that'll be just fine.
So the other question is, do you need fancy headphones or not? And by fancy, I mean audio people will often say studio headphones or monitor headphones. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to make your music sound the best. That means it's going to sound the closest to the signal.
Right. So basically, yes.
That is, I need these headphones, these monitor headphones. They will not make my music sound better. They'll let me hear exactly whatever garbage I made in my signal processing pipeline, so I know what to change in it to make it sound better across the board.
Right. So if you look at an equalizer, right? An equalizer, you've probably seen an equalizer, even if you didn't know what it is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google for a picture of equalizer and be like, oh, that. Right? And most people on their audio devices, they're lucky if you have any equalizer. But if you do, a lot of times it's just a bass knob and a treble knob. Sometimes you actually get a full equalizer. And basically all you're doing is saying, okay, the low frequency sounds are louder or quieter. The high frequency sounds are louder or quieter.
Now, I've learned over the years that humans cannot be trusted with this power.
No.
And they make terrible decisions.
Yes. So, for example, you're listening to some music, you could make the low sounds louder, which would make the bass, the bass is going doom, doom, doom. You could make the bass go doom, 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 doom. And now the sound where the person, say there's like a little hi-hat going tss, 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 you could make that really quiet so you hear nothing, like.
This is why the audio in every rental car you ever rent is garbage, because someone did that.
You could do the opposite, and suddenly it's like doom, 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 and tss, 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 right? That's what you do with the equalizer. So when you buy headphones, a lot of headphones you buy these days, if you buy monitors that are actually real studio monitors, that's like, and you don't have any sort of equalizer between the music and the headphone, that's like having an equalizer that is all at zero.
It's trying to have a flat response.
Everything is zero. All of the frequencies of sound are being played equally. Now, that's good if you're producing music because you need to be able to hear, you want to hear a flat signal. But if you're listening to music for enjoyment, you don't want a flat signal. A flat signal has no energy. It has no emotion. It's not fun.
It depends on the original recording. Let's be a little more nuanced there. If you understand audio,
which you don't,
and you listen to music, a flat response is also probably what you want. But if you haven't actually seriously, for real, studied and don't know, like, the ramifications of using an equalizer or, like, what different sound ranges do in the human ear, then you're only going to make it sound worse for yourself with monitor headphones. Also depends on the kind
of music you're listening to. But basically, modern headphones, if you buy them at the store, like Beats headphones or pretty much any kind of headphone that's meant for consumers, it's probably got some bass boost, right? You know what? When you listen to that, it's going to make the music sound more enjoyable for you, probably, right? So,
and it comes down to trying out the headphones that make some, like, listen to the same track on 10 different headphones at some headphone store, and then go buy the ones that sounded best on Amazon.
Right, so it is true that some headphones sound better than others, and some headphones sound different than others. What's not true is audiophile nonsense that you need $1,000 headphones. You don't.
I mean, the most expensive headphones I've ever bought.
You can get incredible headphones on Amazon for like less than $100. Just for listening, they're terrific.
Yeah, I'd say like $250 is the literal upper end.
There are no headphones more than $250 that are worth buying, I think, like for anybody.
And if you think there are, I welcome you to try to explain to us what's better about them.
Yeah, it's like some of the best headphones I've ever seen are $250. Right?
Yeah. I mean, right now, what am I using? Let me see how much these cost. I forget what I even paid for these things. I got some Sony.
The ones I have at home are the ones that I guess that have that sound.
I use some Sony MDR 7506s.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, 6.
Mm-hmm. Your orders on Amazon.
$80. $80. They're great. They're effectively studio monitors as far as I need. They have a flat response, close enough to what we do to produce Geek Nights.
Yep.
Geek Nights, I guess, sounds okay.
Yeah, at home for streaming and for sitting at my desk, if I don't want to use the $10 Amazon speakers, I have AKG K240 semi-open studio headphones. They sound terrific, more terrific than any headphone you're ever going to need in your life, and they're $67, $68, whatever.
Yep, we paid about the same.
Right? It's like, you're not going to need better than that. I don't know who you are. They're way comfortable. They're like these two big giant circles. They go, ah.
I guess the only other option is there are on-ear headphones as opposed to like full-size surround-the-ear headphones.
Yeah, I don't like the on-ear one.
No one does. I feel like
surrounding the ear is so comfortable. Going on the ear is sort of awkward.
Here's where I found
on
the ear.
It used to be that on the ear was all you could get. Like there were no earbuds back in the day.
On the ear, the only uses I personally can think of are in like production rooms or in like media production where you're taking them on and putting them off a lot, or you have them on only one ear because you're listening to a feed, but you're also interacting in the real world.
Put the over-the-ear ones on one ear, no problem.
I don't use these anymore because I don't need that kind of. I used to have these headphones I used in like band stuff where it had one cup over that was on ear on just my right ear and nothing on my left ear. And it just mounted on my head so I could hear stuff coming from the system while I was interacting with other people in the real world. Kind of like how you have one eye in a camera and then one eye looking at the world. Same thing. But I don't think you want on-ear. I feel like there's no reasonable use case for on-ear in the modern era.
I mean, some people, if you just think on-ear is more comfortable
Oh,
than
yeah,
over-ear,
sure.
then go for it, right? But I personally think it's like over the ear when you're sitting down and you don't need earbud. If you're on the go, traveling, moving around, you want to carry the headphones, you need earbud because they're small enough to just put in a pocket. Even though you might want to bring the big ones, it's just a hassle. Don't do it, even though I see tons of people doing it.
Oh, and headphones that are really expensive that's claimed to have a much broader frequency response, you probably can't hear those frequencies anyway.
Yes.
There's
like,
an upper limit.
You got headphones that would be better if you're a dog.
Yep.
But you're a human and your ear is not golden despite what
Or if you're younger people can hear some higher frequencies.
That is true.
If you get above 2,400 kilohertz, let's say, or 20
even
kilohertz.
A baby can't hear that shit.
20 kilohertz, 24 kilohertz, above that, you're not going to hear anything.
That's right.
And don't try to tell me about super subharmonics or anything.
Nope.
Because I'm just going to make fun of you.
Yep. So yeah, and obviously, you got to consider the price, right? Just consider those factors: wireless, not wireless, open, close. If it's closed and isolating, or canceling, difference between isolating and canceling.
Yep.
Right.
What kind of connectors on the end? Are you going to plug it into your phone that doesn't have a headphone jack? Are you going to plug it into a real mixer with a quarter-inch jack?
Durability. Want to get one with like replaceable cables, replaceable nubs, this sort of thing. So if they wear out, you don't got to make this decision again and buy new ones. You can just buy one and keep it forever, just replacing parts, save a lot of money.
If they sit on your desk, I recommend having a hook or a stand of some kind. That'll really increase the durability.
Yeah, there's actually one thing that happened to me one time is I had some black headphones that had squishy pads, and they were just sitting on a table. And then, I left and came back home, and the window was open. The sun had hit the black headphones and slightly melted the leathery material on the squishy pad, and it was slightly stuck to the table.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, I guess that's not headphone specific. That could happen to any, thing like that, but still, something to be aware of, right?
All right, I think that was a good show. And it's saved.